For thousands of years, the great empires of the ancient world existed in relative isolation. Between the cities of the Mediterranean and the capitals of East Asia lay a formidable barrier, an ocean of sand known as the Taklamakan Desert. In the 2nd century BCE, the Han Dynasty faced a persistent military crisis. Nomadic raiders, the Xiongnu, repeatedly attacked China's northern borders. Emperor Wu realized his traditional infantry was too slow to mount a defense. To secure his empire, he needed an elite cavalry capable of matching the nomads' speed and power. The solution lay far to the west, in the Fergana Valley. Rumors spoke of the heavenly horses, beasts with long necks and muscular builds that were said to descend from dragons. For the Han court, securing these horses became a strict military imperative. In 138 BCE, Emperor Wu dispatched a military officer named Zhang Qian to find these horses and secure an alliance. Captured by the Xiongnu for over a decade, Zhang Qian eventually escaped and reached the states of Daiyan and Dasha. Upon his return, he provided the Han court with the first intelligence of a sophisticated, urbanized world beyond the desert. The pursuit of war horses provided the strategic intelligence needed to venture beyond the border. This first contact shifted imperial focus from isolation to active expansion, marking the beginning of a centuries-long effort to secure a corridor across the continent. Traversing this newly discovered corridor required surviving the Tarim Basin. Its hyper-arid core featured extreme temperature fluctuations, lethal sandstorms, and thousands of miles of shifting dunes where surface water was non-existent. To survive the crossing, caravans relied on heavily fortified oasis towns. Dunhuang served as the ultimate staging ground. Here, at the edge of Chinese civilization, merchants gathered provisions, traded pack animals, and hired local guides who knew how to navigate the wastelands ahead. No single road could cross the lethal heart of the desert. Instead, caravans split into distinct paths. They skirted the center by hugging the edges of the mountains, along the northern, central, and southern routes, traveling from one scarce water source to the next. After surviving the sands, caravans faced the freezing, high-altitude passes of the Pamir Mountains. Those who made it through descended into the fertile valleys of Transoxiana, linking up with major ancient hubs like Samarkand, Baghdad, and eventually Constantinople. To protect this fragile lifeline from nomadic raiders, the Han Dynasty extended the Great Wall deep into the desert. They built watchtowers and garrisoned troops in the harshest environments imaginable to ensure the safety of the cargo and the merchants. The Silk Road was never a single paved highway. It was a decentralized, highly fortified relay system engineered to push goods and people through a massive gauntlet of geography and human threats. This chart shows the relay mechanism that drove the Silk Road economy. Very few merchants traveled the entire route. Instead, goods were passed from Chinese producers to Uyghur middlemen, and then to Persian and Arab traders. With every exchange, the price multiplied, often reaching 25 times its original value by the time it reached Europe. The primary driver of this economic engine was silk. The fabric was so thin and sheer that in Rome, moralists complained it left citizens virtually naked. Romans paid for this Chinese textile with its weight in solid gold. In return, wealth flowed eastward. While China possessed advanced ceramic technology, it lacked the ability to blow transparent glass. Sasanian and Roman Syrian glassware, featuring complex wheel-cut designs, became status symbols for East Asian elites. The physical exchange of these goods took place in the grand cosmopolitan hubs of Central Asia. Cities like Samarkand grew incredibly wealthy, acting as the primary marketplace where East transacted with West. The difficulty and danger of the journey acted as an economic filter. Only items of immense value and low weight could justify the high cost of transport, turning regional craftsmanship into global commodities. Religions, musical traditions, and cultural philosophies moved along the same routes as the caravans. As merchants waited for seasonal weather changes in oasis towns, they exchanged ideas, creating syncretic cultures that blended disparate traditions. This ancient paper scroll is a record of Chinese papermaking technology as it moved westward. It replaced parchment and papyrus across the Islamic world and Europe, lowering the cost of writing and accelerating the production of knowledge. In return, Islamic scholars transmitted complex knowledge on mathematics, medicine, and astronomy to the East. Tools like the astrolabe moved into China, refining local scientific practices and concepts of the universe. This exchange was carried by individuals possessing extraordinary physical endurance. In the late 13th century, a Turkic Christian monk named Rabban Bar Salma traveled from Beijing to the shores of France. He met with European monarchs and celebrated Mass with the Pope in Rome, providing East Asia with a detailed account of European society. The sharing of tools and techniques across the continent created a shared technological foundation. Long after the physical trade route shifted, these intellectual exchanges dictated how both halves of the world developed. By the 13th century, the Mongol Empire unified Eurasia. Their postal system enabled rapid travel known as the Pax Mongolica. This connectivity harbored a hidden biological cost. A climate variation drove the Yersinia pestis bacterium out of its natural rodent hosts. Fleas carrying the plague moved into the human trade network, hitching a ride in the soft wool of cargo and the fur of transport animals. The exact infrastructure that allowed merchants and diplomats to travel safely also provided a vector for disease. Moving from caravan station to merchant galley, the plague raced across Eurasia faster than any medical knowledge could intercept it. This medieval manuscript illustrates the resulting devastation. The Black Death swept through the Middle East and Europe, killing nearly half of Europe's population. It triggered massive labor shortages and weakened established social structures. The same connections that moved wealth and ideas across the ancient world ultimately delivered a severe demographic collapse. In the wake of the plague, the unified security of the Mongol Empire shattered. The overland routes were divided once again by competing, hostile states. Local warlords imposed crippling transit taxes, leaving merchants unprotected from banditry. Unable to secure safe overland passage, European powers looked to the sea. Advancements in shipbuilding and navigation allowed them to bypass the land routes entirely, shifting the center of global trade to the oceans. The dust settled on the desert outposts, but the logic of a connected world remained. The paths forged by merchants established the conceptual groundwork for the shipping lanes and high-speed rail lines that dominate global logistics today. The Silk Road was the first physical iteration of a global web. By forcing disparate cultures into direct contact, it established the template for a modern, interconnected human civilization.